me a few minutes. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for ST. I don't want to do it during the thing because then I'm going to I'm not going to...
Welcome back to another episode of the STGeek Podcast with myself, AJ, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, plus one,
Peter.
John.
And then we have my girlfriend today, Cynthia. Say hello.
Hello. It's actually Sin.
Pardon me, short for Sin. Or Sin short for Cynthia, however you want to say it. Either way. So we brought her in today because we are reviewing, as we talked about last episode, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and she is kind of the resident, I guess, Spidey...
fanboy.
Fangirl, for sure.
Fangirl,
fanboy.
Fanboy?
With an I, for sure.
Just say Spider-Man and I have a very intimate relationship.
So yeah, she's our resident spider whore for sure.
I ain't denying it.
Spider-Man.
This is what I've been dealing with for about 4 years now. It's great. So, yes, as we talked about, we will be reviewing that movie later on in the episode. But first, we do have some news we want to go over that Cynthia, Peter, and John and I have all brought to the table. John, you want to start off with something about James Gunn?
Oh, yeah. He is producing, not directing, producing a movie called BrightBurn. And it's basically a Superman origin story, but if Superman was evil. So it's
basically Superman Red Son.
Yeah, but it's a different company doing it. It's James Gunn. He beat everybody to it.
That's
Congratulations.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited about it. Just a different twist on it.
What production company is this for?
You know what? I'm not actually sure.
Is it Warner Brothers?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't believe it is.
If you want, you could try to Google that while we're talking about it. But I think that's really cool. I think it's cool that the first person that got to it was James Gunn. I mean, we've seen what he's done with a lot of things as far as Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 goes, among other things. I think he'll have a fun spin on things for sure.
And it's a horror movie.
Oh, really?
It's classified as a horror movie.
Wow.
The only horror movie from James Gunn that I've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is Slither. And he's got a very particular take on horror because it's like horror comedy.
Yes.
And it's really great. If you guys haven't seen it, you should. It's really good.
You've actually brought that movie up a couple times, and every time it makes me want to see it more, because when I was a kid and it originally came out, I wasn't keen on the whole horror humor combination. To me, it came off as cheesy, but nowadays I think I would be able to understand it and actually appreciate the humor behind it. For sure. So yeah, I'm actually really excited for that. That's like with like the little worms that squirm around and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Or Slither, if you will.
That's an older movie too, isn't it? Didn't come a couple of years ago?
It's like in the mid-2000s, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I believe we were in high school. Yeah, in case you didn't know, we're all old here.
Yeah, my back hurts as we speak.
To be fair, Peter has to sit up very straight and towards the mic right now. We're a little cramped, actually. Since we're actually only using one microphone at the moment, yeah, we're very cute and cuddly. We might take a picture of it for the podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. We'll post a picture for sure. But yeah, I think that's really cool.
I didn't sign up for that.
I could not find a production company.
Okay.
Thank you, Internet Movie Database.
IMDb, you suck.
I was just curious. It doesn't matter.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, it's exciting to see that he's going to be the one putting the money and ideas towards it. Again, he's not directing it, but still, at least he's producing it. It shows that he has high interest in the franchise for sure.
Yeah. And, I actually saw it on Twitter. I think it was last night. And they compared a couple of scenes from the trailer to scenes of Batman versus Superman. And it looks almost identical. It's
wow.
Crazy, yeah.
Interesting.
So let's see the parallels between the two.
For sure. One thing that you mentioned, though, that it's kind of going to be a horror film. Apparently, there's talks of maybe there being a Batman horror film as well. No word as to whether or not Batman's going to be the scary part of the movie, or if he's going to be going through and facing villains and just done in a very horrific kind of way.
That would be dope.
That would be really cool.
I feel like Scarecrow would be a good villain.
I was just going to say
the same
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
They kind of do that in one of the Arkham games. I believe it's the first one.
Sure. Asylum?
Yes, where Batman gets induced with the Scarecrow scare toxin, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then there's like the game changes perspectives, and it just kind of does its own little trippy Alice in Wonderland kind of a thing. Because the game's like a 3D platformer, but then it turns into a 2D side-scroller for a while.
Oh, what the heck, really?
It's really cool. And I
did not see that coming.
That'd be a really cool way to do it in a movie, I think.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
the right way to do it.
He would be the right villain. I feel if it's going to be if it's going to be horror-oriented, which I'm probably not going to watch because I'm the biggest little bitch when it comes to horror films, I will admit.
That's okay.
So anything horror-related.
I got you, AJ.
Thank you. I got my
Our relationship is 9 years.
Exactly. 9 years strong.
And I accept it. It's fine. It is what it is.
Hands have been held. Kisses have been made. It's true.
Let's move on.
That's right. Sorry, sir.
It's all right.
Dang. Anyway, but yeah, I think that would be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing, again, what James Gunn can pull out of his crazy mind for that movie for sure. Also, another thing was going to be the Sonic supposed poster that you saw.
Well, there's an actual poster released. I'm sure you guys seen it with the silhouette.
Yes.
It looks awful.
It does.
Who made it? Who approved it? Like, come on, guys.
It looks horrendous.
It does look pretty bad.
Yes.
It is a teaser, and it isn't filled out.
Yeah, it's
but
not
it does
filled
look
out.
horrible. So I wasn't there another one? What about the one where it's the
with
Golden
his-
Gate Bridge
yeah,
and his feet?
Yeah.
Is that an official one?
I have
Yeah,
not-
that is
I don't
an
think
official
I've seen that one,
Yeah,
actually.
that's an official one.
Yeah,
You haven't
but it's
seen
just
it?
his feet, though?
It still doesn't look
It's
that
like his
great.
legs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like his
gotcha.
legs looking. He's like on top of one of the pillars of the Golden Gate Bridge, and he's looking. Let's just pull it up. Why the
Yeah,
fuck am I
I'm
describing
looking,
it?
I'm looking it up.
We got to paint a picture
Audio
for
listeners,
the
find it
audience.
yourself.
Exactly.
At BG Java. Send them
Is
to
Is he
BG
BG
still
Java.
wearing
Send them to
like
BG.
pointy-toed shoes with like no arch support?
I think so.
Here we go. There it
see.
is.
I'd say that's real. That looks real.
Well,
That
there's
looks
more to
legit.
it.
There's, yeah.
But it still looks so horrible.
It was the first picture I got, guys. I'm sorry. Here we go.
I just think, in my opinion, as far as the character design goes, if that is real, oh my god,
It looks fine.
there's a man in this picture in front
Submitting
of the
himself to
standee.
the Sonic poster.
Right? Hey, man.
Surrendering himself
That's a
to the
fan. I
Sonic
respect
gods.
the fan. It's all right.
I think
But
that one looks fine.
I just think that,
Whatever.
Sonic was already an anthropomorphic character. I just think they're kind of taking it a little too far. If the silhouette is any indication of how it's going to look, the muscle tone was a little weird for me. The fact that he's kind of lanky.
His proportions do seem odd.
Yes, I mean, which is a cartoon kind of thing to do. Not every cartoon character has 5 fingers, for example, but at the same time, it's a little too strange for me. And I get that maybe they wanted to give him a sort of quote-unquote runner's body, real slim with a little bit of muscle tone on it, but again, it's a little creepy looking just based off the silhouette alone.
It could be one of those instances where it's going to look better in motion. It
Yes.
just doesn't
Oh,
really
yes.
get complemented with stills.
I'm
But
very excited
we'll
about
see.
it. I mean, I think the poster's awful, but Jim Carrey's going to be in it. He's going to be Eggman.
Eggman, Robotnik, yeah.
And then who was the other big name?
I was going to say, is there anybody else attached to it? Because Jim Carrey is the only one that I know of.
Well, according to the poster you sent me, John,
this
it
is
shows
a rumor,
Chris Pratt
it's
in
a rumored
Sonic
leak
chillin'.
poster.
And it looks pretty legit, but I kind of doubt it, though. I want to say
Yeah,
I
because
doubt
look
it.
at the legs and the arms. They just look different.
Even his head, there's no like shadow behind Chris Pratt's head. It basically shows like Sonic and Chris Pratt kicking back on top of Chris
Fast
Pratt's
friends.
police
But
car.
I actually like that Sonic.
That looks a little
looks-
more normal. I can get behind it. Either way, I'm excited for the movie. Like you said, John, I want to be able to see this come out and be successful, but a lot of hate has happened. But then again, that's kind of internet and social media culture nowadays, and that when hate happens, it spreads like wildfire.
So, are you saying am I the only one that's not excited for this movie? Like, I feel like this movie was just something that people
Who brought
did
her
not,
into this podcast?
I know, right?
people
Take
did
her
not
out.
ask for. It's not really necessary. I'm just honestly, I'm not excited whatsoever.
People didn't
From
ask for
what
a
I've
Spider-Verse movie, but we
That's
saw
true.
one.
No one
But
asked
we
for a
got
Spider-Verse
one.
movie.
Comic,
And
the
I'm sure
comic
you
series
loved it. so-
itself.
And the video
It's
games, the
extremely
early
popular.
ones, Sonic games, are
Now,
great.
and the
yeah.
newer games are what are they? They're shit.
Not Sonic
Okay.
Mania. We have Sonic Mania. Okay.
Mario at the Sonic Olympics, or what was that one
Yeah.
called?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Very
exactly.
successful.
Very successful
I'm
franchise.
I'm not looking forward to this whatsoever. They just.
You don't think
it
Jim Carrey
looks
could save it for you?
I'll wait to see. I'll
There
I'll
you
judge
go.
it when I see it.
I
I'm not
appreciate
going to
that.
talk shit on it until I.
She
actually
already
see it.
is.
Which
Oh my
I did. Oh, I'm not talking
Hate
shit.
right
It's a
out
bias.
the
It's a
voice.
biased opinion.
Oh my god.
Right?
Whatever.
Damn. Well, there you go. Blowing up. Welcome to STGeek Podcast.
This is your initiation.
Yep,
You got to
yep.
take your lumps.
Exactly.
Oh,
you gotta
man.
take your lumps. That way you can dish them out too.
You guys are assholes.
There you go. I'll take that proudly. Moving on though. So, Peter, you did bring up a little rumor going on about Mr. Tom Holland.
Yeah, so apparently, again, this is just a rumor.
Sure, it's just a rumor.
From a leaker by the name of @DanielRPK, who's apparently leaked a few things before.
That were accurate?
Very frequent leaker. He has some hits and some misses, honestly.
They all did.
But apparently Tom Holland has to appear in the Sonyverse movies in order for Marvel to still have claim and be able to use him in their movies. Reportedly, like supposedly.
Wow.
Which would be pretty... That's a pretty strong move by Sony. A pretty smart move.
Yeah, well, yeah,
honestly.
sure. Utilizing a very strong actor.
Yeah. So
and a huge character,
that
obviously.
might be a thing somewhere down the line. I mean, we didn't see it in Venom, even though rumors were abound.
Thank God, though.
That he was going to be in it.
That he was going to be in it.
I was convinced he was.
I was pretty convinced as well. But it makes sense. That
I was hoping not.
They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to connect the two universes right away. They wanted Venom to prove itself.
They need time for that franchise to cook.
Which it did.
A lot of time.
And they did it at PG-13, so I mean...
Yeah.
It shouldn't be an issue. Like, can you imagine trying to put Deadpool in the MCU? It's just not going to happen.
I would love it, but they would have to tone him down a lot.
Well, they did release Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yes,
which I saw yesterday.
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
How was it?
It was
Deadpool.
Mostly the same movie.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
But there was, like the trailers imply, there's a few added scenes here. They kind of play with as in pure Deadpool fashion. It's very. He breaks the fourth wall immediately and talking about how they had to go for a PG-13 rating, and he has a. Well, I don't want to get too into it because I'm just going to spoil it. If anybody plans on watching it,
sure.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Skip about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and
and then we're good. AJ, I'm going to give AJ some homework. Time
get into
it.
And damn.
And you get the idea.
All right, we're about 11 minutes in. Go ahead.
So the premise is he kidnaps Fred Savage of Wonder Years fame, and probably more famous for his role in The Princess Bride.
Sure.
And so he
gold member.
Gold member. I forgot about
that. Go on.
And he's reading the story of Deadpool 2. Deadpool is to Fred Savage while he's basically being held hostage in the Princess Bride fashion because he's in the room. And we're taking a selfie right now. All of a sudden.
Really distracted you.
Really distracted.
Go on.
Continue.
Stop that.
And where the fuck was I? You can't distract me like that, AJ.
Yeah.
He kidnapped Fred Savage.
They have fun. They have fun with the
Yes.
PG-13 thing,
Cool.
in which Deadpool has a device that bleeps all the curse words. So he's sitting there and he's like, I bleep told you Fred Savage. He'll bleep himself and then he'll bleep Fred Savage. I don't know.
Is it great?
I don't know if it's worth watching.
Okay.
Honestly, don't go out of your way to see it if you've already seen Deadpool 2.
Sure.
But there are some really funny scenes added to this movie.
Cool. Okay.
And then also, there's a really nice tribute to Stan Lee after the post-credit scene,
nice.
the actual post-credit scene. And it was really touching, actually.
I think I saw. I think your girlfriend had posted it on Instagram, and I watched it. I admit I was a little teary-eyed.
It was pretty good.
Watching.
It was really heartfelt.
Gotcha.
How long was it?
The Stan Lee scene?
Yeah.
It was only maybe a minute or two.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was
nice,
really sweet.
I'll just check that out. All right, for sure. I would say that this is a perfect movie when you have nothing else to see, but as we've talked about in past episodes, December is stacked with crazy amount of huge, big budget movies. I mean, again, like I teased earlier, we are going to be talking about Spider-Verse. We also have Bumblebee and Aquaman coming out on the same day. Mary Poppins might be the same day as well. After that, I feel like there's another big movie that I'm missing off the top of my head. And it's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of what it is. Either way,
did Mortal Engines come out already?
Yeah, it did.
Is that a big? Is that considered a big movie?
No, I don't. I mean, it did very great.
Peter Jackson's behind it, and it looked okay.
It's an interesting premise. I'll give it that, but it looks. I don't know.
I think it's one of those movies where you're going to appreciate the book a little more than the movie itself. That's just my opinion, though. It looks cool. I like the fact that the female protagonist looks really badass. Yeah. I'll give her that. But So
before we move on, real quick,
sure.
I wanted the whole reason I brought up the Once Upon a Deadpool thing is that it actually doesn't feel too jarring to have Deadpool. I mean, I like the R-rated version, and I think it's superior. But it is possible to do that character in a PG-13 as a scene. I think. Sure. All they really did in this movie, which I think everybody expected, was they just kind of cut some scenes. They reshot some new scenes.
Oh wow!
They toned down on the blood and the gore. There's still a little. Quite a bit
more
so than I would have expected for a PG-13 movie.
They probably hit that line
I'm sure they push
it. Rated R.
They push it a little bit,
but
all the hard R stuff is gone, obviously.
Gotcha.
And so, and it's still funny with the new scenes, and they ADR'd over some of the older scenes.
Sure, makes sense. Clean up the language.
Yeah, and it works fine.
Sure.
I'm not going to say it's the superior version because I don't think it is, but it works. It's fine. I think it is possible. So if they were to bring Deadpool into the larger Marvel universe, it's doable.
Cool. Awesome. Well, there you go. That's a prime example that they know how to make it work in a way. But again, is it superior? You said not really.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder then.
Yeah. I just don't think that's the right way to do Deadpool.
I see.
So maybe my opinion's biased on this, but the Deadpool rated R is the way to go. So I hope they keep it that way. But I mean, if they're going to bring him back into the larger MCU, I don't think that's even possible.
I think a lot of people would agree with you in the sense that, for one, I think a lot of parents would like to take their kids to be able to go see a fun Deadpool movie, but with all the language and nudity, potential nudity that is, and extreme gore and violence at times, at least now they have a version that they can take their kids to, and if they decide to put Deadpool as part of the major MCU, at least now they can feel a little more comfortable in doing so. I guess taking their kids to the film. Yeah. Because I'm sure a lot of parents, some are probably quote-unquote cool parents where they take their kids to see it anyway, but at least now they can rest assured that everything will be mostly tame enough for their kid to see. So I think that's pretty cool. All right. Well, then moving on from that one, John, you had another topic you wanted to bring up as far as movies go?
Oh, no, it wasn't movies. It was my last topic was actually the Netflix series of Daredevil and all those other ones that were canceled.
Yes.
Aren't going to be coming back anytime soon with Disney Plus. I guess Variety reported that there was a contract that if it canceled the contract, that they had to wait 2 years after. So if they actually do bring back these heroes, it won't be until 2020.
Wow. Okay. Well,
kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense though, because that's when the Disney streaming service is going to be up. So, you know, at that point, they're going to be willing to probably start production again if it won't already be finished at that time. We'll see what happens, though. That's interesting news to see that they're willing to cut off everything now. But it just means that Netflix is going to have a lot less to work with, a lot less draw. But still, Netflix is a pretty interesting product in the sense that it kind of started all of this streaming that we have today, at least to the major degree that we have it anyway, that we know it as. So I'm sure they're still going to find something. They have plenty of other Netflix original series and movies to work with, a lot of stand-up comedy as well. So I don't see Netflix going anywhere anytime soon because Disney is kind of limited to only having Disney for that matter anyway.
I mean,
but
it's Disney.
It is heavy hitting though, of course.
It's not only Marvel, it's
Disney.
Disney.
Owns so many things.
Fox now.
And now they own so much more things after the Fox acquisition.
I think they're going to be on top in the next 5 years. I would not doubt it. If not right from the start.
I'm sure they have a lot of plans. Even outside of these characters that have already been taken from Netflix, I'm sure they have a lot of series in mind, a lot of original movies in mind as well that they're going to be putting on this thing specifically. And it's going to overshadow DC Universe by leaps and bounds, I reckon. Because I've heard some of the content on DC Universe is interesting, but in the end, it doesn't seem to draw me personally. But to those that do enjoy it...
Are we talking about the comics?
No, I'm just talking about DC Universe, the streaming service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But still, I think it's pretty cool. Though.
I started watching, speaking of the DC Universe streaming service, I started continuing the Titans show, and I've only gotten like 2 episodes in, so like 1 episode than we've already seen.
Did it improve?
It's not bad.
I've heard it's
so
really
far
good.
it's not bad. I'm gonna finish it. Or I'm gonna catch up.
Nice.
Like it has me. It has me intrigued.
I wasn't quite willing to pay the money, but I might to finish it because I was intrigued throughout the first episode. I had my gripes with it as we talked about in episode 2 or 3, something like that. But at the end of the day, it was a fun first episode. So we'll see if I ever go back.
From what I can gather, is they're doing the DC thing that they did with the DC EU, in that the universe is already established. So they are like the universe already has existing heroes and all that stuff. So they're kind of just, they bring in some people. They do it much better than they did in the movies. So they're doing the exact same thing, except they're doing it good.
Right? Not
so
all
far,
at
anyway.
once.
Again, it's only 2 episodes in, but already I'm like, dang, this is. I already like it more than the DC.
It's not Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm saying.
The Flash isn't appearing at random and trying to forewarn me of something that hasn't happened yet. And also, here are a bunch of other characters. Also, Martha. That's all I can say about it. Please.
The DC TV shows are doing amazing, I think, right? Aren't they generally like
Flash,
more
Supergirl,
than the actual
Arrow?
movies?
Yeah, people love those shows.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah. So it just goes to show
TV, they're doing it right.
Because they actually allow their characters to develop in a normal amount of time rather than Again, like I said with Batman vs Superman, even though I personally enjoyed that movie quite a bit, it's not perfect by any means, nor is any other movie, but I think that movie is an exceptional example of just putting too much into one storyline, or trying to collide too many at once, I should say.
It suffers from what I like to call Iron Man 2 syndrome. So they tried to do too much. They tried to cram too much into the movie, and they forgot to make a good movie.
Ah, sure.
Yeah.
Instead, you have Mickey Rourke looking for his bird the whole time. That's all I know. But yeah, that's the one part of that movie that stuck with me.
Where's my bird?
Exactly. Get him his damn bird. So, moving on, though, we do have a couple other things to get to before our movie review. So, we're going to get into some gaming news right now. Cynthia, you wanted to mention the Game Awards that happened recently.
Yes, so congratulations to 2018's Game of the Year. Does anybody know what game that was?
I personally do.
I do as well.
I do not.
You do not? It was God of War that actually won 2018.
God of War 2018.
Well
Not
deserved.
the original.
Right?
Game of the Year goes to the first God of War.
Right? PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Go on.
I think that's already kind of established. I'm
Sure,
pretty
fair
sure.
enough. Yeah.
It also won Best Game Direction as well. And for Best Narrative, Red Dead Redemption 2 won that title. The one thing I feel that the three top contenders for the year was God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Spider-Man. I feel like
I wonder where this is going.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like Spider-Man was robbed
Yeah.
because it didn't win a single award.
But it was
any
nominated
category.
multiple times.
But it was
so-
nominated
so
multiple times.
At least it got the recognition.
But I will say, as somebody who has played all three titles, beaten 2, 100% completed 1, Spider-Man, I'll just throw that out there, and I'm just going to brag about it, 100% completion on that. I'm actually kind of surprised that God of War won when I feel like, and I know this is going to be a shocker, I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 should have been
Whoa,
Game
that
of the Year.
is actually a shocker.
Yeah.
Well, it swept with like 2 or 3 other awards at least. You don't think God of War at least deserved Game of the Year?
I think it did. It did actually. It had a really good storyline, good gameplay. The characters were memorable. Everything about that game was just amazing. I'm like, yeah, you fall in love, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about how amazing the game was. But just playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I just feel like it should have won. It should have won easily. So I'm a little surprised.
It is known for definitely having its own, a very expansive universe that you just kind of envelop yourself in, or it envelops you in it, you could say. And you kind of have to just, it's not a game that you can just pick up and play in small bursts. You have to invest a lot of yourself into it to learn the ropes, to learn how the game works.
And one thing about the game that I will complain about, it has a very, very huge learning curve.
That's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
I'm on chapter 6, which is the last chapter in the game, and there's shit I'm barely discovering now playing the game. There's like so much goddamn detail. It is so fucking frustrating. In the game, just, that is the one complaint I have. And some of the mechanics in the game, like having to eat, making your character eat the right food, trying to be the right
diarrhea.
weight.
I don't do that with myself.
Right? I know,
play that goddamn game.
Right? Not to be a dietitian for this cowboy? The fuck? Eat the lizard.
It's just the most frustrating thing imaginable, because if you're too underweight, or if you're too overweight, your health degenerates, your cores go to shit, which I find is incredibly frustrating. I'm here trying to play a game, not to fucking feed my character and feed my stupid horse. By the way, the horse has the same mechanics. You have to keep it the perfect weight. And that was the one thing I will complain about the game. Why would you add that?
So it's a Tamagotchi remake, basically.
Essentially,
Yes.
right?
It's a reimagining of the Tamagotchi.
HD Tamagotchi
Yeah.
in every sense, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
From what I've heard, it seems more akin to a sim.
Yes.
It's like a
Yes.
cowboy, a Western simulator, more so. Like, it sounds, again, I've heard, it's great. But it seems to me like it's very bold of them, of Rockstar, that is, to make a game like this that kind of like almost shuns their core audience in a way, and does something almost entirely different. I mean, it has the same like feel of a traditional GTA game, again, from what I can tell. But then I hear that from a lot of people that it's different and it's very hard to learn. You really have to invest in it, and it seems like more akin to something like Fallout 4,
Sure.
Or just a Fallout game in general, in the sense that the world is so expansive and you kind of just get immersed in it. You meet all these characters. There's the random encounters that happen that you kind of just find yourself running into. And
very much an RPG role-playing game, like in every sense.
What I like to call it Cowboy Skyrim.
Cowboy Skyrim,
That's
yes,
basically
exactly
what it is.
Okay.
It's Cowboy Skyrim is what you're playing.
Save a dragon, ride a cowboy. I got you. Essentially.
Ride a cowboy? What? What game are you playing? I think you downloaded the wrong game.
I would. Arthur Morgan. I'm just saying. Arthur Morgan is...
Oh my god.
He is the main character, by the way, of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I have a huge fangirl crush on him right now.
And you're cheating on Spider-Man. You even gave him the game, your pick for Game of the Year.
Yeah, wow. Look at that. Jeez. All right, well, apparently, don't dedicate yourself, or don't put your feelings too much into Cynthia. Damn. She'll drop you like a hot potato for someone else coming up. Damn. All right.
Just so rugged and manly, something that you're obviously not.
Damn. Wow. Nothing I haven't heard before.
That turned really quickly. She got used to the dynamic almost instantly.
Yep. I'm feeling it already. Goddamn. Moving on, then. I'm just kidding. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about the Game Awards, though?
No, that was it.
That was about it?
How about some of the announcements for the Game Awards are pretty cool. They announced a new Mortal Kombat, in a very
11.
cool way. Like, it was a fake out.
Got the hip hop.
Yes, that was a very fun fake out. I remember watching it like, wait, what?
Yeah, as well as the announcement for the first DLC character for Smash Ultimate, which was also a fake out, which was done in a very cool way, in which it's Joker for Persona.
Did we talk about this?
We did talk about last episode.
Oh, we did,
yeah.
okay.
But you didn't talk about the fake out.
Yeah. I liked the fake out was really cool. Like, it's his
definitely did not see
character.
it coming.
It's very stylized in a Persona 5 style. And it's Joker talking. Some dude's like, "Hey, I got an invitation to a thing," and he holds up an envelope, and then he turns it, and then you see the melee symbol.
Yes,
so
and people lost their shit.
Yeah, it makes you think that it's like a Persona 5 DLC or something.
Exactly,
and then they just kind of flip it on you, quite literally, and it was pretty awesome.
Pretty damn cool, I gotta say. Also, just the opening scene of the Game Awards when they had, was it Reggie Fils-Aimé, Phil Spencer, and I forget the gentleman who represents Sony,
the Sony
PlayStation.
Guy.
Yeah, I love
all
him
on stage all at once.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing. I would have liked a little more of it, but I feel like they were just up there to make an appearance and everything like that, so that they're all kind of together in it. But I would have liked a little more banter between the three of them, just a little bit of something. I guess it seemed more staged than anything, but it still,
of course, it is.
It was really cool.
They're not going to have them go up there and do 5 minutes of improv.
Maybe not improv, but maybe just a little more interaction. I kind of just felt like they stood next to each other and waved, and that was about it. But I still thought it was a really cool idea. I hope they expand upon it next year for sure.
Give us a song and dance number.
There
please.
you go.
That's what we need.
That's the only thing that'll appease me now. So, aside from gaming, you did mention Smash Ultimate earlier, Peter. Do you want to expand upon that a little more?
So, being the only person in this room who owns Smash Ultimate, I will say, to no one's surprise, it is great.
I really, really, really want it.
I've heard it's faster paced compared to the other ones, right?
It well, compared to 4, I think, for sure.
And especially Brawl.
Especially Brawl, being the slowest of them all, I think. In my, and maybe I'm wrong. Who cares?
Maybe 64 is a little. Anyway, go on.
Doesn't matter. Brawl's horrible. If you like Brawl, you're wrong. Chava.
There you go.
Bring it.
Add him.
I'm ready. But it's good. The story mode, if you want to call it that, the World of Light is fucking huge.
Jeez.
It is huge. I've played for about I've been playing it pretty consistently for the past week or so, however long it's been out, and I think I've maybe unlocked half of the overworld.
Wow.
It's really, I've played like I think 12 hours at this point.
That's pretty good.
12 to 15 or something like that, and it's
shit.
It is huge.
Oh.
Well, you sound disappointed.
Oh no, I'm not.
Oh.
No. Well, I'm not into those games, but
Fair enough.
Yeah, they need Spider-Man to be a DLC character.
I'll say it has Crom, which is another character that I'm in a fair on.
Here we go.
Cheating on all of these fictional characters.
Right, all into and me at the same time. I'm the only non-fiction character in this story. God damn.
I know what I like, and I like sexy. Sorry.
Well, that includes me part of it then, right?
Sure.
Damn. Moving on. Continue, Peter. So 12 hours in, and you haven't even completed the story mode yet, or at least unlocked the full map of it.
No.
Wow. Okay.
It's really big. From what I hear, I think they said it takes 20 hours to complete, I think.
Okay.
16 hours, something like that.
So
I forget
about
exactly.
half to a 3/4 of the way there, then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's big. And the gameplay changes, I think, are very very good. They're good for the game. They're good for the audience. They make the game more fast-paced. There's little tweaks to characters here and there that make them... Every character is overall better, I think, in one way or another. Still, some are better than others, obviously, but they didn't really take away anything from characters as much as they gave characters new tools. Like some are universal, some are character specific. Like the new dodge mechanic is pretty cool. Dodge deterioration is also pretty cool. I assume everything that I'm saying at this point is stuff that you guys should already know if you're into it, because it was announced a few months ago.
Or at least into the competitive aspect of Smash Brothers,
exactly.
Anyway. Yeah,
but it is great. I'm hooked. I can't stop playing. Whenever I have a moment, like I'm always having my Switch with me, and it makes me enjoy having a Switch more so than I think since Legend of Zelda.
Oh wow! Okay.
See, the Legend of Zelda game was the reason I got a Switch, and it was cool to be able to play it whenever the heck I wanted, as long as I had it with me.
Yeah.
And Ultimate has brought me back to that. I don't think I've done that with any other game on the Switch.
Wow.
So if you've been holding off on getting a Switch, I think this would be a good time to do it. With Ultimate being probably my number one pick, up there with Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda. You need to get those games if you're owning a Switch. You're missing out if you don't.
Top 3 heavy hitters for you?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Now, let me ask you one thing about Smash Brothers, because this is something I've seen, and John, you mentioned it recently as well. There are a lot of tutorials on how to unlock characters in that game more quickly, because you have over 70 characters to unlock.
72.
There you go.
Damn, so much.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so, would you say with 12 hours in, you've unlocked all of them already, or do you still have some to go?
I've unlocked I could honestly go a bit hard. I've unlocked, I think, not even half of that.
Oh wow!
But the thing is, there's certain ways you can do it, because I'm primarily playing the World of Light.
Oh, okay.
And so you have to, in order to trigger a character unlock, because you still have to beat them in like is Smash tradition. You have to defeat the character to unlock them. And so for the World of Light, when you're playing through the story mode, you actually have to back out of the story mode in order to trigger that event.
Gotcha.
And so sometimes I'll just get really into the World of Light and I'll forget to do it. So I'm not doing it in a very optimal way.
No,
is
sure.
what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, I could have unlocked them a long time ago. But I'm just enjoying the game. I already unlocked the character I wanted.
Cool.
Which is Captain Falcon.
Oh, nice.
So
Classic beater, yeah.
Although I have tried a few others.
What was that?
I have tried a few others. I just unlocked Richter Belmont.
Oh,
and
nice.
I love the
I know you were
Castlevania
looking
franchise.
forward to that,
and
yeah.
he's a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
King K. Rool is a lot more fun than I expected.
K. Rool, doesn't he have armor, like where he can take a hit with his stomach plate?
Yeah, like his down smash is armored, and he's kind of OP at the moment, honestly.
I've heard even his dash attack is armored as well. He has multiple armored attacks in that game,
I
which
think
is
his
pretty
dash
awesome.
attack, and I think certain frames of his side smash is armored as well.
So there, I've heard that character is very annoying. On top of that, he's super heavy, so you can't knock him out or smash
He's
him
the
very
only
easily.
good heavy character,
Oh, really?
in my opinion. He's the only good heavy.
That's the only one I've really seen being played right now, other than maybe DK, I guess. But he's kind of fast but heavy at the same time. K. Rool's a little slower, I imagine. I don't know. Not really?
I don't know. I don't really play DK, so I don't have that fair
gotcha.
comparison.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's really cool. One thing that you said that kind of intrigued me was that you're really enjoying the single player aspect of it, which is something I guess Smash Brothers players haven't been able to say much since Subspace Emissary, which was for Brawl.
Oh, yeah.
Which was probably one of the better parts of Brawl for sure. I mean, I still enjoyed that game. It was my one Smash Brothers Wii game. That's the only one we got, really. Sorry for that car that just drove by. But anyway, if you guys heard that. But anyway, yeah, it's cool to see that you're enjoying the single player aspect of it also.
It's very fun because it gives them a chance to play. So the spirit system in the game is what gives them a chance to kind of play with other characters that didn't quite make the cut into the game.
Okay.
And they have access to all of these franchises, like all the guest characters, all of their franchises.
Oh, wow.
And so they set up these fun fights where they try to make it as close to the character as possible. For example, you fight the spirit of Groundon, which is embodied by a giant Charizard.
What the heck?
which is fun. There's one for Metal Gear where like you're fighting the spirit of Otacon, who's embodied by Dr. Mario, and then he has with him a giant Rob, who's supposed to be like his Metal Gear.
This sounds insane.
Those are the things that make me want to continue, because I want to see all of these fun little things that they do, these homages to these franchises.
Yeah,
and I'm enjoying it very much for that.
That's really, really cool, actually. To think that they got that creative with it and utilizing these franchises that they're borrowing to such a high degree. And I'm sure once Nintendo shared their ideas with these franchises, the franchises were probably like, oh, of course, please do this. And now that you say the way it's coming out, it's pretty exciting to see. I can't wait to see. Have you experienced any like Mega Man stuff?
Yes.
Anything interesting with that?
I'm stuck on Dr. Wily. It's Dr. Wily's really hard to beat because it's him. It's Dr. Wily. He as Dr. Mario, and then he has a bunch of Mega Mans that are supposed to be like his robot masters, and they're all metal. Because there's a character attribute in some of the Smash games where they're metal, so they don't really fly as far. They pretty much, it's almost like they have armor, like your moves don't interrupt them. And so you have to fight I think it's like 8 of those robot masters and him, and it's a pain in the fucking ass.
Nice.
Like they're good. It's fun.
That sounds like fun. Wow, that's cool. Any bass or trouble in there by chance?
Not that I've encountered so far.
Oh, gotcha. I know that bass does come out in like Mega Man's Final Smash. That's all I really know.
Yeah.
And Mega Man currently is the only playable Mega Man character in the game, right?
Yes.
I wonder if they're going to make a DLC character for Mega Man. That would be amazing.
Speaking of, so they won't. Because what they've said so far is...
well, fuck you too, Peter.
I know, right? Jesus.
Well, Nintendo's come out and said that all of the characters in their DLC are going to be characters that have never been featured in the franchise before.
Okay.
So they're all going to be brand new characters.
Okay, I respect that.
So just because Proto Man is part of Mega Man's Final Smash, that's considered a feature, technically?
Well, because Mega Man in general is featured in the game.
Oh, so it's new franchises altogether.
Yeah.
Does X count as a new franchise?
I was wondering the same thing.
That would be pretty amazing.
Give me Zero. Yeah.
Zero would
Why
be
haven't
cool.
they put Zero in there?
Right? He already owns in Marvel vs. Capcom. That's a whole other game, though.
He's an assist trophy, I believe Zero is. But then again,
really?
I think so. So is Isabelle? Is Isabelle an assist trophy too?
Isabelle? Oh, is she an assist trophy and also a character now?
I think so. Because I remember when she was announced, people were losing their freaking minds that she was in the game because she was an assist trophy.
Who knows? Either way,
So, yeah,
I've heard she's actually a pretty annoying character to deal with as well.
She
I
has
don't know
this
if you've
one
had to deal
thing with
her.
like a fishing rod that's pretty damn annoying. Other than that, she's not that great.
The only game besides Soul Calibur 2 where you have to worry about someone using a fishing rod. Oh, no, I'm thinking of a fishing net from Zelda. Never mind. When Link uses a fishing net as like an unlockable weapon. I love that game. Soul Calibur 2 is so good. Anyway. But yeah, so that's really cool. Then Smash Brothers Ultimate, I really, really want it. My excuse has been that I'm trying to save up for Christmas presents, and I'm almost there. Once I finish up my Christmas shopping, I'm getting on that game.
Screw him. Just get him.
You're talking to the one to the left, and then I have to say that...
Give him a Christmas card thanking them for contributing to AJ Smash Brothers Fun.
Yes, exactly.
The thing was, I pre-ordered and paid the game in full for him for his Christmas present, and he goes and tells me, oh, I'm going to pre-order it myself, so I had to return it.
You could have said, no, don't do that. You don't need to do that.
No, you ruined your own Christmas gift. That's
I don't believe
Now
you.
you're Smashless.
Yeah. Fake news.
Oh my gosh.
I don't believe in it. All right, well, let's move on a little bit because Sin does have a story that she wants to talk about as far as Spider-Gwen, just to lean us more into the Spider-Man topic that we have at hand later on.
So I know you guys brought it up for the last episode, and then they were saying that they were going to include 2 more Spider-Verse movies into the series. So it was just announced by Sony producer Amy Pascal that the female-oriented Spider-Man movie is going to be centered around Spider-Gwen. And the 2 confirmed characters are going to be Cindy Moon, which is Silk, and Jessica Drew, which is Spider-Woman, are going to be, like I said, the 2 already confirmed characters in the series. And she also said for the next Spider-Verse, for the sequel, it's going to focus more on the romance between Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. I know that's we should lean more towards that when we talk about the actual movie.
Yeah, we'll get there. Mm-hmm.
But it's going to focus more on their relationship and their romance. So
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, you're putting us to shame with the detail in these stories.
Yeah, right.
We put very little effort into our stories. Sometimes I'm pulling it up as the podcast.
And also, Pascal she also confirmed that the plans for the live action Silk movie are still going ahead, but she's going to be unrelated to the Spider-Gwen movie appearance.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So they're doing a live-action Spider-Gwen movie? I don't remember.
No.
Oh, Silk.
Silk.
That's right.
Which will be... It seems badass.
Have we talked about the announced Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, Venomverse, whatever you want to call them, films yet? Because there's actually a few more. Kraven the Hunter is one of them.
Mm-hmm. Sinister Six is
Sinister
still in
Six
the
is
works.
still a thing for some
thing.
reason.
They're working toward it.
Morbius. You guys familiar with Morbius?
The vampire?
Yeah. Well, He's Jared Leto set to play Morbius.
Oh my god! Yeah, I can see that. I think we talked about this.
Yeah. If there's one thing I could see his weird ass doing, it's Morbius. Like I think that's actually pretty good casting. I'm pretty excited for that.
I could see that being a
Silk's
good thing.
one of them, so that's pretty cool. I'm excited for that as well. She's a really cool character.
Yeah, she is.
Right.
For sure.
The only thing is, I'm surprised that was she the director that announced all this?
The producer.
The producer. I kind of wish she would have kept a little details like off, just because I didn't want to know about. I kind of like the way they end. Well, the potential romance that could or may not have gone on between Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy in Spider-Verse. It's not totally leaned into in the movie. We'll get to the movie later, but again, I kind of would have liked to be more surprised about what that was going to turn into for the next movie. And I kind of wanted Silk to be more of a surprise. I mean, it's obvious, kind of, in that if they're going to make a Spider-Women movie, it would be amazing to have her in it, but I would have liked maybe a teaser trailer or just to have her be a surprise rather than it all being exposed before the movie's even officially announced, I guess. I think it's too bad that they're giving so much away.
So we talked a little bit about this before we started recording the podcast.
Yeah.
About how AJ's very anal about spoilers.
I don't know why.
Welcome to podcasting, AJ.
Minor of spoilers.
I know.
Why are you even here then if you're so anal about it?
I'm just saying, why can't there be any more surprises in Hollywood?
AJ, you're out.
I know. I just don't know why there can't be any more surprises. It just sucks.
What it was a surprise reading this. I got excited just reading about it.
Fair enough. Fair play.
It's still a surprise.
It is, and it is really exciting. I look forward to seeing Silk in live action and also in the art style of the Spider-Verse universe. I think that's going to be really, really cool.
Can the listeners please send AJ at AJ Applesauce every single spoiler, every single rumor, every movie ever, please.
Anything that you think I'd like, spoil it.
Even the things he won't like, just send it to him.
You can even send it to Peachy Chava, and he'll retweet it to
Exactly. He'll tag me in it eventually. It'll trickle down to me eventually. Yes, definitely. But no, that is really exciting. What are your thoughts on it, though, Cynthia?
I'm excited. I mean, my two favorite Spider-Women are obviously Spider-Gwen and Silk. So those were the two characters I was wanting to expect and wanting to see. So I am very excited for it, I gotta say. But I want to see more. I want to be able to see Anya Corazon, which is like the protege for Jessica Drew. And just maybe see more characters, but we'll have to wait and see what other characters are announced. I don't know about you guys, if you want any more characters to appear, or...
In that movie in particular?
Any more Spider-Women?
I'm curious to hear who the villain would be. Like, who they'd be going up
against. Yeah, that would be really fun. I mean, there is one female antagonist that we'll talk about later that I think would be a fun addition. But, I mean, I don't know if she'll be a part of that. Anyway, but I would like to see Penny Parker come back, though. Penny Parker was pretty spectacular, I think. I would have liked a little more screen time of her in Spider-Verse, but she was a very welcome addition. I hope that they put her in the female Spider-Verse movie. Very much so.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sin, but didn't they make an animated Spider-Girl TV show or something like that? They did? Mm-hmm. Is that out already?
A full-on TV show?
Yeah, like an animated TV show.
I actually was unaware of that. Is it out right now?
Do you know? For like Spider-Gwen? Because I know they have that. It's like a cartoon with Miss Marvel.
Oh, like Disney XD and all that? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah. Is that what you're thinking of? Or is it like an anime you were saying?
No, the animated, not anime.
Oh, okay. I thought you said anime.
Gotcha. It could be a thing.
I apologize.
Either way, I think a movie would be really, really cool.
No, but there's already, the cartoon with Spider-Gwen. She's referred to as Ghost Spider, which is kind of a name I like better for her in that series.
Sure. It's
good. Pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, Ghost Spider.
Cool little alter ego to it. Yeah, I like that.
With Miss Marvel and Squirrel Girl is another.
That's right.
She's another main character in that series.
It's okay. Everybody else can go home. Squirrel Girl's here.
Yes.
She did defeat Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's how powerful she is. She defeated Dr. Doom.
I think even like Galactus. She's OP. She's OP.
I'm so happy. That's freaking awesome.
Squirrel Girl for Smash Ultimate.
Yes.
Please.
And for the Spider-Woman Spider-Verse movie, please. That would be awesome. They got to throw her in there somehow. They'll find a way. Maybe they'll be in like Yellowstone Forest or something like that.
They may... I remember, this is probably a rumor, but I thought I remembered hearing that Anna Kendrick was signed on to play Squirrel Girl in something. Am I wrong?
I think that was a rumor.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
she looked like she'd be a good Squirrel Girl.
She does, actually. Mm-hmm. She does. She's got the personality for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, super bubbly and all that. Kind of chattery.
Yeah.
Seemed kind of teeth, too, a little bit. I don't know. Well, not to be rude. It's just that she kind of has like little cute teeth, that's all. Like little front teeth. I don't know. I think she would be a perfect Squirrel Girl. But so speaking of Spider Women and Spider Verse and Spider Men, all that stuff, we did, as we mentioned earlier, went to go see Spider Verse, Into the Spider Verse that is, and what do you guys think of the movie without spoiling much at the beginning?
Okay, so non-spoilers.
We'll move into spoilers eventually.
We'll let you guys know when we go into spoilers.
Yes.
I thought the soundtrack was amazing.
Yeah,
Bumping.
me too. It was great.
Good, yeah. Every song.
Every song.
All appropriate, great.
Perfectly placed. It made the scenes that much more exciting. It made me get into it. Sin and I were bobbing our heads through like the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it made it more immersive for me,
sure.
I think. Like
Yes.
more so than a live action movie does, because when you hear like a top 40 song in a
Sure.
live action movie, it always feels kind of cheap. But because it's animated, it kind of feels more believable.
Yes.
Especially in the way that they do it, it really pulls you into this world. It feels like a world that's alive and,
Yes.
and
Yes.
living and breathing, and there's people in it. And God, I loved it. It was really good.
It
Yeah,
was
the soundtrack's
amazing.
great.
And I
Yes.
think a lot of that music was made
Yeah, the
for
themes,
the actual
yeah.
movie, yeah.
I
The
wouldn't
theme
doubt it.
song is Amazing Sunflower.
Yes.
Sunflower.
If you ever get to take
Post
a chance.
Malone, I don't know the other
Yeah,
guys.
that was really good.
That one's amazing. I'm like bumping it right now.
Heck yeah. No, super good soundtrack. I gotta say, the art style was original and super fun. It was like a mix of CGI with stop motion-esque kind of animation as well. I just thought it was a really cool art style for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of choppy at times in the
Yes.
beginning. I feel like that was by design.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
But
the drops
it,
frames.
It kind of took me out of it sometimes.
Interesting.
But then, like 10 minutes into the movie, I didn't even notice it anymore.
You got used to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
And the art style changed throughout the entire. There were certain scenes where it looked like it had like a shading to it.
Sure.
And there were other scenes where it just looked clear. Mm-hmm. And then there was even some scenes that I thought to myself, "Am I watching this movie in 3D?" It was really weird.
Almost
It
definitely.
had like a purple outline to it, right?
Yeah, they
was
definitely
crazy.
made sure to influence that. But I've heard it's a really good spectacle in 3D also. It is available to
Yeah,
view
I
in
want to
3D.
watch it in IMAX. I definitely want it.
Oh, yeah. We actually saw it in Dolby Cinema, and the soundtrack was awesome.
It
and
was
that, like, you
amazing.
feel the bass every time. It's really, really cool. You feel every punch that's being thrown as well. It was super great. The sound
Very
design was absolutely
It
spectacular.
was very submersive for sure.
Yes. Yes, for sure. As far as characters go, were there any that you liked that you didn't like, guys?
I thought they were all great.
Yeah, they were all amazing. Every
they
single
were
one of
all
them.
great.
All
I
appropriate.
was a little weirded out with Penny Parker, I will admit, because
Okay.
I did not expect her of all the characters to be there. But I fell in love with her. I thought she was
Oh,
the most adorable little thing.
Super cute. Yeah, like
So cute.
totally animated out. I love that for her in particular. I mentioned with Sin after we saw the movie that they actually made her mouth operate similar to like an anime character would, where it's not every syllable she's actually moving her mouth. I thought that was a really fun little detail they threw in.
They do that with they do that with every character. I think.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Noir, how he's all voiced by Nicolas Cage.
Yes, great addition I didn't know about
Oh, yeah.
until the movie.
Neither did I. I didn't pick up on it until after the movie. I was like, I know that voice. Like,
Oh.
Right,
who is
who
that?
is he? And
Yeah.
the credits is like, damn, I knew it.
Yeah,
Right,
that was great. And
super cool addition.
like how he can only they touch on it. It's like a joke because he sees a Rubik's cube, but he can only
Yes.
see in black and
See
white.
the-
So he's just like,
I will solve it.
I don't understand it.
And then even Spider-Ham, like how
Yes.
he kind of carries over his cartoonish properties, how he could just pull like that mallet out of nowhere.
Yes.
Like it's
John, who voices him?
John Mulaney.
Mulaney.
Yes,
great comedian.
Yes,
Very
great,
funny.
amazing.
very cool.
And so yeah,
The comedy was amazing in the movie.
Yes,
I feel like
jokes
I was
landed
laughing
very well.
all the time.
yeah, it was really good. And then also the introduction of certain villains was handled very well.
Yes,
Yes.
super surprising.
Yeah, like the
For one of them in particular.
The universe. I think having this movie star Miles Morales was the perfect way to do it because the world is already there. Spider-Man already exists in this world, and
Some fun stuff to talk about in spoilers.
yes,
Yes.
and you can just
Oh,
introduce all these villains that already have established. Like they don't hold your hand. They don't explain this villain has this origin story. This one has that. It's just there. If you know it, you know it. You don't, you don't. Like it's better off for it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's incredible.
It saves time.
Yeah.
If anything, the way they introduce certain origin stories was done in a very fun and comedic
Yeah,
way,
it was
I
done
would
in a
say.
very good way. I
And not towards the villains, but more so our protagonists in the movie.
I love that, and I hope it's not spoiling too much, but how they do it like Digimon style. The first two stories
that
were
was really good.
slow, and then the last three were super
just-
quick.
Yeah, they just kind of went through
Digimon
it.
style. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they do the same thing with the main villain who's of Kingpin, in
Yes.
which they give you his motivations, and they do it very quickly in a very effective way.
Yeah, very much so.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that threw me off about this movie was Kingpin's proportions.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Shoulders way above his head, and it's like his head was like shrunken into mid torso.
Yeah, he looked like the penguin. Or
yeah,
something.
Well,
pretty
he's
much.
supposed to be an intimidating character.
Yeah, I was gonna
he's over
say,
6 feet, 400 pounds.
Yeah,
I mean, so
I don't know.
His proportions, it was very well animated.
It was just the head placement mostly. He looked like a hunchback.
Yeah.
His head was in
You
his
see the
chest.
double chin?
Yeah.
That boy has
Right
some
in.
scoliosis. That's all I know. But no, very cool character design for Kingpin as well. He was intimidating in that movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
very.
He was a looming figure that you did not want to mess with for sure. But yeah, ultimately enjoyed the movie. Go ahead.
And I also liked what they did with Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, that was a
Yeah,
cool new
that was
way of doing it.
too.
I did
That
not
was
see
very
that coming.
interesting,
I didn't realize it was him until Peter Parker actually says his
Yeah.
name. I was like, oh crap, really? Whoa.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, who the heck is this guy? And I think in the Ultimates universe, which is where Miles Morales made his debut, I believe it was either Green Goblin or Hobgoblin. They are actually goblins. So it's not just a person in a mask like in the mainstream Marvel comic book universe.
I personally
So I
like
was
it
like,
better
ooh,
that
that's
way. It made it more kind of cinematic and fun.
Yeah.
Rather than just another human character that he's fighting against. It's actually a full-on monster, which was cool.
Yeah.
So as far as starting off the movie, how would you guys describe it? Like how did the story go for you?
It was a great origin story. Kind of had sadness at the beginning, right from the start. Well, it had comedy, of course, right from the beginning.
Sure.
Then it hits you with some sadness.
Yeah.
Then a lot more comedy. I really loved Jake Johnson. I thought he was the best Spider-Man
Yeah,
in there.
really
He was
good.
great, and it took me a bit, and then I finally started to hear it. It was my girlfriend. She's like, "Oh, it's Nick from New Girl,"
From
and
New Girl,
that was
yeah.
it. That's all I can imagine at that point.
And they captured his humor particularly very, very well. Like you could hear not only his voice, but the jokes. You could kind of tell that he probably maybe helped with the writing of them a little bit. It just very much felt like that actor, very much so.
I like that his Spider-Man was kind of like the down on his luck Spider-Man.
Yes,
and he was
very much so.
Do we just want to go
self-loathing.
into spoilers? I feel like that's kind of.
Yeah, you know what? If you guys are ready, for you who are who's listening, we're getting into spoilers now.
Okay,
Go
so
for
Okay,
it.
this is it. Yeah, so I do love that. It's the 15-year gap Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
he was whatever about it.
See, here's the thing I love about that Spider-Man is that he's kind of over it, but he's been doing it so long, he's good at it.
Yeah,
like,
he's still
he'll just be
naturally
like,
good.
watch, he's going to say you have 24 hours.
Yeah.
You have 24 hours. So they have
he winks at him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah.
It's really, they have a lot of fun with that aspect of
Because
it.
this Spider-Man, well, the first Spider-Man actually dies, which is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Supposedly.
Was it actually voiced by Tobey
No,
Maguire?
it was
Oh,
not.
okay.
It was
I was
fine.
going to say I didn't recognize the
It was voiced by Chris Pine.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was
I'm
another one where I was just like, I know this voice. Who is this guy?
That's cool. I mean, he was barely in the movie. I didn't even get a chance to recognize his voice, but good to know. Okay.
Why do you say supposedly?
Because
You're telling me they do that finger scene in the comics?
that's what I mean. They kind of.
I love that
There's
they
also
reference
not a
Spider-Man
giant
3.
Green Goblin in those movies.
No,
Yeah,
well,
true.
it's just I'm assuming it's just through that 10-year gap. It was just kind of a story.
You can use if you wanted to, you can argue that it is that universe in your headcanon, if
Sure,
you will.
yes.
And in my headcanon, it is, honestly, because I think that makes it more fun, because they do poke fun of the Spider-Man
Spider-
3
Yes.
dance scene
Yeah,
where he's
yes.
going down the
Great
street.
reference.
Or
Yeah.
also the Mary Jane scene where they're having lunch,
Yeah,
and then the
exact-
car gets thrown
And
through
he
the
just
window.
Yeah.
punches
exactly.
the car like it's.
Yeah, yeah. They start off with that, and I'm
Those
like,
are
wow,
nods. Those
these
are definitely big
Oh,
nods.
extremely.
Yes, yes.
Most
Right
definitely.
away, that caught me in. I love that. That's how it started.
Yeah,
it pulled me right in. I was
Same
like, oh
here.
shit!
Making fun of itself. Yeah.
And how he loves his life and stuff. But he
Yes.
was only Spider-Man, I believe, for 10 years. And then our favorite Spider-Man, I'm assuming, I don't know, Sins. But,
For 616, yeah.
yeah, and Jake Johnson, he was Spider-Man for 15 years. So he had 5 years on top of the experience.
Gotcha.
Right.
I also love the fact that they made him an overweight. Not
yeah.
overweight, but just like a
You know,
he let himself go.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Because I
yeah.
remember watching the trailers, I'm like, why is he wearing sweatpants? What is going on? What? And then the movie explained, oh my gosh,
And he
that is
wears them for, like,
hysterical.
Most of the movie.
Yeah,
anyway.
at least 3/4 of it. Like all of a sudden he just loses the sweatpants. Yeah. Super cool. So the way this movie starts off is that you do have Miles Morales being a kid who's going to a school he doesn't want to. It's for privileged kids and such, and kids of higher intelligence, for sure, gifted kids. And then he runs accidentally into Peter Parker, the one that we knew from potentially the Tobey Maguire universe, and he gets killed by Kingpin. He's essentially overpowered.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was a shock. That was pretty cool.
Well, he dies in
Very
the
sad,
comics for Miles Morales, but he's not killed by Kingpin. He's actually killed by Green Goblin. So
There you
that's
go.
how he...
That's why you're here.
So I
Very good.
already expected it to see it. It was still very sad, I would say. But...
Sound like your voice is breaking.
I know, right?
It's just so sad.
Oh, there she goes. We're going to get a tear by the end of this episode. You watch.
Probably. I'm already tearing up just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So there was a pretty emotional scene in the sense that, like, it kind of just, I was dumbfounded. Like, Spider-Man actually was killed. Like, it was kind of crazy to see. You never really see that in Marvel movies, of all things, as well, where the hero actually full-on dies, aside from Infinity War, spoilers. But, like, to actually die by force, it doesn't happen very often with a protagonist, if you will.
And how it happens, how he just
it was
crushed them. And even then, I didn't believe it when he said dispose of the body.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they showed it on the news, Peter Parker... Wow.
Is dead.
Yeah.
They exposed that it's actually a kid named Peter Parker and all
What
that.
threw me off is Kingpin not known as a bad guy?
I don't know, because Miles Morales' dad, later on in the movie, when he sees Kingpin, he doesn't necessarily, like, say his name or anything like that. Like, I don't know if anyone ever says his name, or at least the police don't.
So is it safe to assume that Peter Parker never told Mary Jane because he was calling her up, like, towards the middle scene? Where they're breaking into his...
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't say. I mean, if you're married, that's your wife, you know your secret identity. How do you not know who your villains are?
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know who your enemies are?
I'm lost. What do you mean?
There was a scene where he was having a dinner.
Like a memorial for him, a dinner. It was hosted by Kingpin, and Mary Jane was there.
Right. Oh, that... Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like, does no one know that Kingpin's an actual villain in this universe? And it seems like that's the case. Like, he's not out about it yet.
I think in the comic books, depending on the storyline,
he is. In some of them, he is.
Some of them he's out. He's known as a villain, and then some others he's not so much.
He's kind of
like
known as
Slither.
like a businessman. And he's a very shady business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in this one he's just not. He's not.
But then
a
that
villain
goes back
the
to
public.
Peter Parker never told Mary Jane about
his wife, his own wife.
about any of these villains. Just kind of a side note.
Right.
But
No,
I
yeah,
guess
for sure.
I didn't even think about
So,
that.
if you have any super villains, AJ, you better be telling me right now.
I'll let you know as soon as I find one. Hopefully never. But no, yeah, that was a very shocking start to the movie. And then from there, you kind of get to know Miles Morales' character. You get to know his family as well, who are pretty charming. Though one family member, since we're in spoilers, turns out to be working for Kingpin all along. Prowler, which was an amazing villain.
If you're a fan
I
of the
thought.
comic books, you already know
knew.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you already knew.
You already knew that Peter Parker was going to die, and you already knew that that his uncle was the Prowler.
Sure.
But they build up to it as though you're not supposed to know. You don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can only guess that many people who go see this movie aren't going to know. But the way that it's done is really good.
Super fun reveal.
Yeah. And he's a much cooler character in this than he is in the comic books.
Yeah,
really?
I thought so as well.
In the comic books, he's really just like a C-level villain. He's kind of
pushover?
just a theft.
Yeah.
Ah,
But in
okay.
this one, they actually kind of made him a
Actually,
badass.
He is brutal in this
Yeah.
movie. Like, he was scary. Like, when it shows Miles Morales, he goes to visit his uncle because he's down on times and he's all depressed and sad about things. And he's actually friends with his uncle on his dad's side. I guess his dad and his uncle are kind of estranged from one another, it seems, in the movie. But again, for whatever reason, Miles Morales, he loves his uncle and they have a good little friendship between themselves, or between each other, I should say. And so he goes to visit him to be consoled, I guess just to connect with someone on more of his rebellious side. I guess it's probably how they relate with one another. And his uncle is not home at the time, but then when eventually his uncle gets there and he realizes that he is the Prowler. And that whole scene of the Prowler chasing down Miles Morales was pretty freaky. Like, it was almost like, I don't want to say horror-esque, but a little jump scary.
It was
for
very
sure.
menacing, for
yes,
sure.
very
Yeah.
menacing. That's a good word for it. Loved that very much so. And from there, how would you guys say the story carries on from that point?
So it's really just Miles Morales kind of being in over his head. He's got these new... we didn't even touch on that. So he gets spider powers.
Yes.
He's bitten by the radioactive spider.
Spoilers.
where did that spider come from? It looked all futuristic. Did it come from a different dimension?
The movie hinted that it did come from a different dimension because it was glitching out.
Oh, that's right. I didn't
Yes, it was glitching.
So the movie hints that it was from a different dimension, which is like a complete different take from what the comics are. I could go into detail with that. I don't know if you guys want me to, but I probably...
Go ahead.
Sure.
So in the comics, basically, Prowler is the reason why Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man. He is hired to gets to steal some stuff, basically, and the spider crawls into his bag, and then it bites Miles Morales, and that's how it becomes the new Spider-Man. And the one thing I did like about the movie was the take that Miles Morales wants to be Spider-Man. As soon as he's bitten, that's what he wants. In the comics, it's completely different. He is bitten like 2 months before the death of Peter Parker, and he wants nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, makes sense. If you're 13 years old and you get bitten by a radioactive spider, you know, why would you want to become a superhero? You know, why would you want that responsibility? And the death of Peter Parker is what causes him to finally make that transition that, you know what, this is what I should be doing.
He blames himself, right?
Yeah, he blames.
Because he says he could have actually done something.
But he was too afraid. He didn't know how to do anything about it. Yeah, at the time.
I was kind of hoping in the comic books there's a scene where 616 Spider-Man comes into the Ultimate Miles Morales' universe after the death of the main Spider-Man of that universe, and they bond a little bit. They help each other out, and then there's 616 Spider-Man says to Miles Morales something along the lines of, I think this universe's Spider-Man would have been proud of you or something like that. And I was kind of hoping for a scene like that in this movie, which we didn't quite get. Not word for word and shot for shot anyway.
Yeah, well, you know what? I do agree with you, but I think at the very least, the Spider-Man that we care about a lot, which is Peter B. Parker, at least we get his approval by the end of the movie for sure, which I thought was really awesome. Yeah. And so, yeah, I do agree, though. It would have been cool to get that from original Peter Parker of that universe, but at the same time, Peter B. Parker's
it wasn't original. Was cool. It was a different universe Spider-Man.
Gotcha.
But it was more, because like Sim was saying, how he didn't want to be Spider-Man initially in the comic books, and the death of the main Spider-Man is what pushes him over the edge and makes him actually do it. And then he's in the comic books, he still kind of has doubts with himself. He's still kind of just like, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Am I even living up to the mantle? And then it isn't until this mainstream Spider-Man comes over and they team up, and then he's just like, you know what, this universe is in good hands. This universe's Spider-Man would have been proud.
Sure.
How did he end up? How does he end up in that universe?
I don't remember. Sin, do you know?
I don't remember, actually.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like so many damn details. It's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah, she owns the Spider-Verse collection, and that is a Bible of sorts.
Yeah, but he does move into the main Spider-Man 616. Miles Morales is now in that current
That happens like way later on. There's like a big gap. He's
he goes to that universe when he's 17. So he starts off as Spider-Man when he's 13, and then he goes to Earth 616 when he's 17. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That clears it up. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, then it's pretty cool to see how that all went down. As far as villains go, what did you guys think of them? Because we talked about Kingpin a little bit, but we did have one big, at least in my opinion, a big surprise as to one of the other villains. Reveal. Yes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about where she comes from or who she is before we find out?
So Miles Morales,
or they,
and Peter B. Parker.
Yes.
I love that little
nod.
Down on his luck Spider-Man.
Yes.
We should just start calling him Chubby Spider.
Chubby Spider.
Spider Chub. That sounds pretty.
That sounds something else. I don't know about that. So Chubby Spider and Miles Morales.
I tried.
They go into a facility I saw this a week ago. I don't remember exactly why. Maybe you guys remember.
We'll clear it up.
He goes to the facility because that Earth Spider-Man gives him like a little disc to destroy the machine that goes through the interdimensional machine.
Yes.
Miles Morales during his first fight ends up destroying it, and so they have to go there to get a new copy for.
That's right. And while they're there, Spider B. Parker. Whatever I called him, whatever his name is,
Chubby Spider.
He has to distract the scientist lady
that's working for Kingpin.
The head scientist,
in order for Miles Morales to log onto the computer and get what they need. And as that's happening, it's slowly revealed that this scientist is maybe more than what she seems.
Yes.
She's a bit more sinister. Like, she's talking to Spider-Man. Spider-Man thinks that he's playing her.
Wooing her, maybe.
Yeah, he's wooing her a little bit. Like,
sure.
And then he gets strapped to a chair, and that's when he's like, wait, what's going on? And he's like, what did you say your name was? And she's like, Octavius, or something
Octavia, Julia Octavia, or something along those lines.
And any fan of the comic books knows that the Octavius name is synonymous with the villain Dr. Octopus.
Yes.
So then it's revealed that she's Doc Ock.
It
was really cool the way they
female Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Super cool.
She was dope, though.
Oh, yeah. The way her arms worked. It was kind of funny that they were kind of like bubbly plastic kind of arms though as well. Like they were meant to be very flexible. I thought she was a great addition to the movie.
Oh yeah, with that. And it comes out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming.
No.
And I loved that it surprised me.
Was she female in the Spider-Verse stories?
No.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, gotcha. The character itself? Gotcha. If Doc Ock even plays a role in those stories. But, yeah, super fun reveal, and she's a great villain. It's pretty badass, actually, too. She can take a punch.
She was my favorite villain of the movie.
So from there, Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales have to escape from the facility that they're at once they steal the data that they need from Doc Ock. They escape. They try to anyway. Doc Ock chases them into the forest, and then that's when we get Spider-Gwen introduced to us as actual Spider-Gwen, because we do meet Gwen Stacy earlier in the movie before her name is revealed, and then that's when more badassery ensues, you could say. Yes. How would you guys describe the fight scene if you had to talk about it? Well, apparently we're here now.
I mean, it was good. All of the fight scenes, I think, were really good.
Super well directed and orchestrated.
Oh, yeah. Especially the final one when they're juggling all the different spider people. Mm-hmm. And all these different villains. We get a few other villains. They don't get Scorpion.
Tombstone.
That's his name. I couldn't remember his name. I looked at him and I'm just like, Solomon Grundy? But no.
Right?
But
the Marvel version.
I think I played too much of the video game because my mind automatically went to Mr. Negative. Just because he kind of looks like him a little bit. And I'm all like, wait, no, I'm a filthy liar. That's Tombstone.
No, so that was a pretty fun villain as well. I mean, they didn't give him too much to do, but he was fun in some scenes for sure. Aunt May was also a pretty big badass in this movie. She was really fun.
She's been Aunt May, like she was the Parker in this universe was Spider-Man for 10 years. So you can only assume she knew, and she was in on it, so she was used to it. Like she didn't seem fazed by any of the shit that was going on. Like she was down. She was ready for some shit.
She knew who Doc Ock was because she says, "My friends call me Susie," I believe, and then Aunt May actually says, "Hey, Susie."
That's pretty wild. Oh, wow, good. I didn't notice that before. That. Yeah. Good catch, man. Yeah, that was actually really cool. But yeah, she's really fun. As you mentioned, Peter, she's like into the universe. She understands what's going on, and she like welcomes all the other Spider-Men and women when they go to meet her. That was really cool. And you find out that Aunt May was helping them all along, and they were kind of waiting, I guess, for Miles Morales to eventually show up and catch up with things.
Yeah, because I guess other spider people of the universe have been thrown into this world, unbeknownst to the characters we've met so far, as well as the audience. And then they go to Aunt May's house for something. I don't remember.
I think they all know that she's the one that they should go to for some reason.
That's
Maybe it's their sixth sense or their spidey sense.
And then they show up, and she's not surprised at all. And then it's revealed that there's actually other spider people that it can't. She says something along the lines of, "You think you're the only ones that thought to come here?"
Right.
And so that's when we get introduced to Spider Ham.
Yep.
Spider-Man,
and
as well
Parker.
as Penny Parker. Yes.
Can we just talk about the scene when they're actually walking to the shed? And he's like, "I got a shed like that."
Yeah.
And then he's actually describing his apartment, I think, when he's actually in it. I love that.
When they get in the elevator to get lowered down, he's like, "Oh, that's kind of pretentious." I love those little jokes.
So many Easter eggs in there, too.
Right.
I love the
my
Spider-Mobile, the Spider-Bug, whatever it's called.
The costume from the video game.
Yes, it's in there as well. It's like to the far left. That was really cool. I remember pointing that out during the movie. I was like so excited.
I think the Spider Cycle was in there.
Yes, it was.
It was really good.
Pretty much like the Bat Cave of Spider-Man.
Exactly.
It was really, really
You need
cool
to watch
see
the
all
movie
that.
over again just to get all the little details because I saw there were just so many of them in the movie.
Oh, yeah. If anything, I mean, we can get into more of this later, but I just want to say that this movie just gets me ready for, again, the sequel to this movie as well as the Spider-Women spin-off as well. All the nods and everything that this movie did, it's got me hype. I'm ready for more.
I'm all in for any sequels that they would make to this movie.
Yes. So earlier, Peter, I think it was you, Peter, that mentioned, I guess we start to learn more about Kingpin's motivations. The whole reason why these characters are colliding into Miles Morales' universe is because Kingpin wants to be able to bring back his dead wife and child.
Yes.
And so the only way that he feels he can do that is by hiring Doc Ock, who's a scientist that's able to bring dimensions into one another and crash them into where he's able to obtain his family again, who died because of his own cause. And so he feels guilty about that. He obviously misses his family. And so that's why all these other characters are coming into Miles Morales' universe, which is why we have to meet Kingpin later on in the movie as well for the final battle.
Yes.
Also, yes. Which, as you mentioned, was really well done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They give you his motivations in a very quick way. In the same way that they give you the origin story to the other Spider-Verse characters, as we touched upon a little bit earlier. Every time they introduce a Spider-Man, it's always it's always in a comic book.
Yes.
The screen just goes into, like, it breezes past all of the bullet points of their origin and whatnot. That is until you get to, like, the last two, I think? The last three. They kind of just speed past it. We're just like, okay, we've done this 3 times now. You get the idea.
You know, Noir likes to beat up Nazis. I was surprised they added that word. I was like, what? This movie's PG, but all right, cool. But no, that was really fun.
Beating up Nazis is always rated G.
Yeah, oh yeah, amen. Very good. The STGeek Podcast does not support Nazi waste. But yeah, it's a very, very well done movie for sure. The final scene was really awesome because the thing is, you can't have all the spider people within this universe because since they came from different dimensions, they are actually starting to what's called glitching out, where their bodies kind of spontaneously almost combust in a way. They spontaneously glitch, showing that they don't belong in this universe. So the goal for this movie is to not only stop Kingpin, but also to get all these other spider people back to the universes they belong to before they actually die, essentially.
Yep.
Is the way that it goes. And so that's part of the mission as well. I don't know. I thought it was done pretty darn well. Any other thoughts as far as this movie goes, guys?
Well, the last fight scene was amazing. It was a trip.
Yes.
How everything, all from the different dimensions were coming in, and especially how Doc Ock, how she ended up getting hit by the truck, I think it was.
Oh my God.
That was great. We're in for a fight, guys. Boom. Bitch is gone.
It was pretty violent for that part, for sure. And I love the final scene between Miles Morales and Kingpin as well. That was like, he was getting overpowered, and yet he kind of found the strength within him. A hero's tale, you could say, at the very end.
Speaking of a hero's tale, so in between us meeting all the spider people and the final scene, you actually have Miles Morales go toe-to-toe with the Prowler.
Yes.
And it's revealed because at this point, Miles Morales already knows that the Prowler is his uncle. Yeah. But it's unbeknownst to his uncle that this spider child is Miles Morales. So it's revealed to him in this fight, during the struggle, all the other spider people are occupied fighting the other villains, and then it's revealed, as I said, that Miles Morales is actually the spider child to the Prowler. And then...
Hashtag spider child.
Hashtag spider child.
I like that.
And almost immediately after, the Kingpin... The Prowler hesitates to finish off Miles Morales, and so the Kingpin shoots him. So Miles Morales sees his uncle, whom he cares deeply for, he gets shot right in front of him. And throughout the entire movie, he's struggling to control his powers, as well as just kind of... He wants to be Spider-Man, as Sin pointed out earlier. He wants to be a hero, but he just really doesn't know how to get a handle on his powers.
Yeah, he can't use some of them at will.
Right. And so, after this scene, the other spider people tell him that he's just not ready. That they're going to go handle it without him. And there's a very touching scene with him and his father, a conversation between them, where his father talks to him behind a door, like there's a door between the two of them, and his father is trying to tell him that his uncle's dead, and you can tell he's very heartbroken, not only at the loss of his brother, but also at the fact that he seems to be, there's a distance between him and his child.
He's worried he's losing him.
I can see Sin kind of like getting really emotional.
It's an emotional scene.
Just reliving this. It is actually very emotional.
I'm a crier.
It actually is. It made me... It was a very sad scene, but done very well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you feel for both of these characters.
And that's his turning point.
That is the turning point.
That is the turning point.
And that's the turning point where Miles Morales kind of gets
cue badass music and then training montage.
Exactly. Rocky 5, etc. But what was I going to say?
And that's where he gets his costume, too. We forgot to mention that up until this point, he's actually wearing like a Spider-Man costume that he just bought at the store.
Exactly,
From Stan Lee.
And then Peter B. Parker tells him, you don't wear your own merc.
Yeah,
so you can just tell it's shoddy shit.
One part of that conversation, I'm not sure if you're getting to this though, Peter, but I love the verbiage that Miles Morales' dad uses in that he's very proud of him and he's afraid of losing him, but the reason why he's so proud of him is that he sees a spark within his son, and then that's when you realize he has certain powers that he hasn't quite fully untapped yet. And then as the story goes on, and as Miles Morales starts to come into his own and realize that he can control his powers to a degree, you start to realize the different levels of power he does have, which is really awesome. His cloaking abilities and such, and electricity wielding as well, right?
Yes.
Are these actual powers?
Yes, they're actually, yes.
Are those the only two differences between him and the standard Spider-Man?
I want to say there's more, but at the top of my head, those are the only two I could think of. Everything else is pretty standard Spider-Man-esque.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the first Peter Parker that died, was he the only Spider-Man that could actually shoot real web from his body? Or that wasn't even confirmed in the movie. I didn't even notice it.
No, he can't. He has.
He also has cartridges
They actually
as well.
showed that, and I don't think they actually showed that.
Yeah, on that Peter Parker.
On the original Peter Parker, the
one that
Tobey
died,
Maguire
the one that was
one.
murdered.
Did he actually have organic?
I didn't
I
see
think
either way.
It's supposed to be the Peter Parker.
Well, if it is the Ultimates universe, like
Yeah,
it kind of building inspiration from the Ultimates universe is where it actually comes out of his
arm.
And he doesn't have web shooters,
I
but
see.
that's not confirmed anyway.
I was just curious.
This universe feels like it's very much its own universe.
Yeah.
It's it pulls from a bunch of different storylines, but it definitely feels like its own pocket universe.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys have a favorite spider person in this movie?
Gwen.
Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, for sure.
I love the
Spider-Gwen is awesome.
Peter B, but Noir.
Spider-Man
He was
Noir
dope.
is great. I
He
like
was
how
dope.
he's just all like sad and kind of not sad, but
He
very
is
much
kinda
noir.
sad. Yeah, he's a noir
He's very
film.
dark and
Very
like
dark
he
and
He comes
brooding.
from the Great Depression, okay?
You're right.
He has the-
He's
he has
naturally
the
depressed.
excuse
He always has these
to
monologues
be
like with
depressed.
himself.
Yes.
It's really cool.
I can't remember the scene, but there's a part where Miles, he's going through shit. I think that's when he finds out his uncle is the Prowler, and he's like, "This is a dark origin story."
Yeah,
So many fun nods.
Yeah.
Every line Nicolas Cage had in that movie, it makes me believe in that actor once again more and more and more.
It was so good.
Hell yeah.
Purple? No. Green with the Rubik's Cube?
Yes. Please.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to bring up that one of the things that I do appreciate about the Spider-Verse is just the diversity in the characters. Because you have... I myself, as people probably don't know, I am Latina. I am Mexican-American. I am about as frijole as they come. Okay, first language was Spanish. And I just loved being able to see an actual representation of my culture. You know, I love being able to see a Latino character, an Afro-Latino, which was Miles Morales.
Yeah,
who
for
is,
those of you that don't know, Miles, it is Miles Morales.
Miles Morales is Afro-Latino. He's black and he's Puerto Rican. But it's not just the fact that he is Latino, but they show the representation that he speaks Spanish and there was actually Spanish music
His mom
playing.
speaks
That's something
Spanish.
I did enjoy. They do that a lot in
Yeah.
the beginning of the movie, where
Which
he's just
is-
walking down the street and he's talking to people English, Spanish, like he's just.
And don't
going all
forget
over
the Scorpion, too.
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
right.
Spanish,
Yes,
yeah.
he's Spaniard.
So
yeah.
it was just nice to be able to see all this diversity. And you see it too in the comics. You know, you have Penny Parker, who is Japanese. You have Silk, who is Korean American.
Yes.
You have Miguel O'Hara in the comics, who is Latino as well. And you have a Spider-Man from India, Spider-Man UK for Britain.
That's pretty awesome.
It's just...
That's too many Spider-Man.
So, as someone who doesn't really care too much about. How do I say this? If I phrase this wrong, I'm going to get chewed out.
So, guys.
I personally, it doesn't bother me because I am also Hispanic, and it doesn't bother me when I don't see Hispanic representation necessarily. However, I did very much enjoy the Hispanic representation in this, more so than I was expecting. I'm never one that's like, hey, there needs to be more Mexican inclusion in theaters.
of course.
Yeah.
But I was very happy
nice.
with that it was there.
I'm the same way. I don't get offended when I'm all like, oh my god, why is that character not Mexican or why are they not Latino? I don't get offended at all. But just being able to see it, you're just like, mi gente, mi raza. Yeah, so
it's pretty cool.
So it was pretty cool to see because I really appreciate it. I'm all like, oh yeah, oh my god, yeah.
She did get really excited when, or she was quite touched when she could hear the dialogue between Miles Morales and his mom. Yeah, she kind of squealed a little bit. It was kind of funny.
So it's just something that I like seeing. But I agree with you. I don't get offended whatsoever. I'm like, you need more diversity in films. You know, I'm not.
Right.
That's not me.
At the end of the day, we've talked about it in past episodes. It's more so the best person for each job, and that's what I believe in. And if that means more equal representation, that's fine with me too. But in the end, as long as the actors do the job right, that's what I care about. At the end of the day,
unless you're Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, that did get a lot of flack, didn't it? For was it Ghost in the Shell?
Yes.
There's a few things actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, something else.
I think she was supposed to play a trans person, and then she backed out of that role
because people were throwing heat at her.
Yeah,
really.
That's a different subject, though.
Anyway, you could probably do a whole segment.
What do you guys think about the post credit and?
That was cool. That was
that
was a touching. The end one.
The end. I could not stop laughing. I was the only person in the some people were giggling, but I was dying
when they're pointing at each other.
Yeah,
and they actually had a meme. At the beginning of the credit of him sitting down at the desk with the employee of the month picture. That's a meme that's been around for a long time.
I didn't catch that.
That's cool they threw that in there. I guess if no one legally owns it, they can just do it.
It's from the TV show.
Oh, really?
It's just somebody turned it into a meme. The same thing with the two Spider-Man pointing at each other. Yes. That's from the Spider-Man.
What was the first post-credit scene? I don't remember.
It was the Stanley
tribute.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was really touching as well.
A little tease.
It was.
Yeah.
But so was that a hint to another Spider-Man, or was it just
Spider-Man 2099?
Yes, I want to. I'm hoping that since they already designed the character within this universe's art style, I would like to say that yes, they'll bring him in for the next one. I hope.
Like.
Yeah,
but also it seemed like they just played it off as a joke as well. So I was like,
well, he plays a bigger picture in the actual comics, so I wouldn't. Why would they not bring him into the sequel? So I was hinted. It's going to happen. I feel.
I feel so.
Oh yeah, I know of the meme. I just didn't notice it.
Yeah. John just pulled up the meme of the employee of the month.
I was talking about that one. That one was great.
How dare you point at me? You pointed first.
And then he jumps a bit. It's fucking great.
Totally.
It's so good.
Yeah, I remember when the post-credit scene happened, little baby bladder over here had to use the restroom.
No. During the beginning of the credits, I came back, right after the Stan Lee tribute, came back, I sat down, and right as I was sitting down, the 2099 teaser started.
But you weren't next to me, and I remember as soon as it said Nueva York, I was like, oh! And then the girl next to me was all like, what the hell is wrong with this girl? Why is she tripping out? I'm like, oh my god! I was
Her handler just went to the bathroom.
Exactly.
But I was losing my shit, because Spider-Man 2099 is one of my favorite.
He's definitely one of the most badass looking Spider-Man, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Great end credit scene.
Small cameo by J. Jonah Jameson as well.
Oh, yeah.
In that post-credit scene.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice him.
Yeah,
oh my god, what the hell?
Yeah, he's there.
I was sitting down as I was
Spider-Man? Spider-Man.
Oh, you're right. You're right. But yeah, ultimately, really great movie. If you guys had to rate it, skip it, rent it, buy it. What are you guys feeling?
Buy it, 100%.
Buy
it is
it.
so good on so many levels.
Amazing. It was incredible.
I see what you did there.
It was spectacular.
I also see what you did there.
Right? Uncanny.
It was $20.99.
All puns and I feel like I love this movie more than I loved Homecoming.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Homecoming was a good movie, but in the end, this had a lot of charm to it. Mm-hmm. A lot of homage, a lot of nods. It was ultimately a great package.
As I'm sure we've said previously, the fact that it's animated gives it so much more free reign, not just visually, but also tonally.
Yeah.
They make fun of themselves a little bit. They make fun of comic book tropes a little bit. They introduce characters in ways that's believable without having to fully flesh out their backstory completely. Like it's so good. It's really I am very excited for any projects that they make going forward. Whether it's spin-offs of this, sequels to this, I'm all in. Sony's slowly but surely, well, not too slowly anymore, but they're definitely proving themselves that they can do Marvel right. Eventually, just given the good amount of time to make a movie good, other than rushing a lot of other things that we've seen over the past few years. It's nice to see that at least they're putting a lot of love towards Spider-Man. They don't have that many more characters that they own left, do they? Or at least that are worth making. I think it's just the Spider-Man. Spider-Man, that's it. Yeah. Well, at least they're really milking it, and not just milking it, but just doing it justice for sure. I'm happy to see what's that? About time. Yeah, it is about time. Yeah. I'm happy to see that they're actually utilizing things very well. I mean, they have Disney to compete with, and also to partner with as well. Them as much. Yeah. I think the beginning of it said in association with Marvel, so I'm sure maybe they. Of course, they probably had something. Yeah. For all we know, maybe they threw money at it. Who knows? But at least I'm sure Disney is letting them know this is the standard. You have to meet it, if not surpass it. You know. Yeah. Right. And so it's good to see that is now the standard for sure. Is there any other parting words you'd like to say about the movie before we end this thing? Watch it. Go and watch it. All right. I don't want to overhype it. If you can. Yeah, I would recommend 3D. That if we see it again in theaters, I gotta see it in 3D. Yeah. It just seemed like it was perfect for that. Ultimately, especially because it's animated. Oh yeah, for sure. But animated movies are always the best in 3D anyway.
at least in my opinion. I feel like there are few live actions that actually pull it off super well. But with that said, guys, go out and see the movie. It's not 100% perfect, but it's pretty darn close. It's definitely an A+ in my mind, as I think 100%. We'd all say.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that'll about do it for this episode. Episode 11, actually. Episode 12, we're going to be reviewing Aquaman, correct?
Yeah, maybe some Bumblebee.
Maybe some Bumblebee as well. We might throw that in. If not for a future episode after that one as well. We'll see how it goes down, though. Yeah. Either way, be on the lookout for the next episode. New episodes every Monday. If you have any topics or questions you want to send us, hit us up on Instagram or Twitter at STGeekPod. You can also email us, stgeekpod@gmail.com. Anything you'd like to say, Peter?
For those of you that don't know, we are now on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. So
yes, we are. Listen.
Yeah, so give us a like,
and then
follow,
watch the movie.
Whatever you do on those things.
Listen to the podcast.
Watch the movie. And listen to the podcast.
Rate us 5 stars, por favor.
Rate us 5 stars. And other than that, just want to say thank you for listening to Sustainable Taboo Geek.
Later.
Peace.
Bye.
Check.
Check.
Check your booty.